Hello, everybody. We are comparing and ordering rational numbers. So the first problem we have, basically we're trying to say which number is bigger or littler, or are they equal? And an easy way to compare fractions, other than finding a common denominator, cross multiplying and all that, is to just turn them into decimals. So that's what we're going to do. To turn a fraction into a decimal, remember fractions are division. So to turn 8/11ths into a decimal, I'm just going to go to my calculator, Google calculator, and put in 8 divided by 11. When I do that, I get 0.72 repeating. Okay, so that one's 0.72 a whole bunch of times. Let's see what 2/3 gives me if I go 2 divided by 3. I get 0.66666666. So if I'm looking at 0.72 repeating compared to 0.66 repeating. Now these are both, I've put them in the hundredths place. So if you think of these as numbers out of 100 or like cents, 72 cents is more than 66 cents. So 8/11ths, which is equal to 0.72, is greater than 2/3. Okay, we're comparing negative fractions. Turn them into a decimal, and remember, if the negative number is one negative number that's like looks bigger, if you have negative, let's say 53, that's actually less than negative 50, because that's like owing someone $53 versus only owing them $50. You are actually in like less debt or have more money if you just have negative 50 as opposed to negative 53. So let's put these in a calculator. 9 divided by 11 gives me 0.81 repeating, negative 0.81 repeating, compared to negative 5/8. Negative, let's see what 5 divided by 8 is as a decimal. 0.2625. 0.625. And you'll notice that we have a digit in the thousands place here, and we don't have a digit in the thousands place in this one, so just add a 0. So we're comparing basically negative 0.810 to negative 0.625. So negative 0.625 is actually greater than negative 0.81. If these were positive, 0.81 would be bigger, but since they're negative, that's not the case. Compare negative 5/6 and negative 3/7. Comparing two negative numbers. 5/6 is what as a decimal? Let's go 5 divided by 6 and see what we've got. 0.83, the 3 is repeating. Compared to 3/7. Oops. 0.42. So you'll notice I kind of just usually keep the first two digits after the decimal and not all these other ones because you don't have to. So if I had owing someone 83 cents versus owing someone 42 cents, I've really got more money if I only owe someone 42 cents. So negative 3/7 is greater than negative 5/6. Let's do one of these where we're doing not converting them into decimals. So we have 3/8 and 4/5. If we don't want to convert them into decimals, we're going to find a common denominator and cross multiply. You guys should be very familiar with this idea of cross multiplication at this point. So to find a common denominator, all we got to do is multiply the denominators together. 8 times 5 is 40. And then we cross multiply. 5 times 3 is 15. 8 times 4 is 32. So if I have 15 pieces out of 40 versus 32 pieces out of 40, 32 pieces is going to give me more of whatever it is. Let's say an enormous tray of birthday cake is cut into 40 pieces. If I get 32 of them, that's more than getting only 15 pieces of cake. Okay, 7/8 and 8/9. We'll do it with the fractions again this time, instead of the switching them into decimals. Whatever you prefer. 7/8, 8/9, negative 7/8 compared to negative 8/9. We're going to find a common denominator by multiplying the denominators together. 9 times 8 is 72. Cross multiply. 9 times 7 is 63. 8 times 8 is 64. So I'm comparing negative 63 out of 72 compared to negative 64 out of 72. Remember, if we're dealing with negative numbers, this is going to be our larger number. So it'd be like owing someone 64 versus owing them 63. We'd rather owe them less. 7/10 and 4/5. So we're going to do this one a little differently, and I'll talk you through it. So 7/10, and these are negative, and 4/5. Now, if I'm good at mental math, instead of finding a common denominator and cross multiplying, I can just change this fraction into higher terms. Really, I just need to have a common denominator. The denominator is matching. I know that 5 fits into 10 really easy. So if I just multiply 5 by 2, I got 10. What I do to the bottom part of the fraction, I have to do the top. So if I multiply 4 by 2, I get 8. And now you'll notice that I'm comparing negative 7/10 to negative 8/10. So I have my common denominator, and I can look at them really easy. So negative 7/10 is going to be greater than negative 8/10, because again, it's like thinking in terms of like owing someone less. 7/9 and 5/7. Let's do one more. We'll put it in a calculator this time. 7/9, 5/7. They're both negative. Well, 7 divided by 9, we'll get a decimal. 0.7777777. I'm just going to keep the first 2 digits after the decimal. I'll write that dash at the top to show they're repeating. Let's see what 5/7 is as a decimal. 5 divided by 7, you get 0.71428571428. I'm just going to write 0.71. Okay? So remember, these are both negative. So this one is greater. The smaller negative number is greater than the larger negative number. It's the opposite for positive numbers. Obviously, the larger positive number is greater than the smaller positive number. Okay. On to the next one. Good luck.